My inspiration for this painting came from photographer Jenny Rainbow. Her sweet moment of nostalgia. It is a seascape from the Maldivian Islands. I'm showing some supplies that I like to use just to share it with you. Scott Shop Original wipes. They're fantastic. Leaves no lint on your canvas. This little gadget helps me to save on my paint. It's called a metal tube ringer, and you could purchase that at Dick Blick. I use either gray palette paper or paper plates to mix my paints. I use water-soluble paints, and right now I am mixing the indigo and titanium white, and I'm adding in a very small amount of black, and I'll pull out of that about 2 to 3 different values of the grays. I've got some cobalt blue going in right now, and using the rest of the black to tone it down. Adding more titanium white to bring up the values to lighter, and some more of the mix. That time I poured in a little bit too much mix. I'll have to add some more of the titanium paint. It's real important to have your different values for the clouds, and I do like to use my grays and also my lavenders for the clouds. I'm mixing more of the blue values. Cobalt blue and titanium white. Adding the turquoise in. I'll put just a very little amount of that color into the cloud area. That mainly will be going down into the ocean. Making it light with the titanium white. Bringing the value again up. Very nice to use for my foam for the waves. Making a dark gray blue. I suggest that you play around with the colors that you have, and you'll just be surprised. You can blend some beautiful colors and also be in control of the values. Okay, I'm blending my deep dark purples. Now what you just saw was me using alcohol to wipe off the palette paper. It really works well. It does help cleaning your brushes also. Now I'm mixing my titanium white and my orange and my red, cadmium red medium. These are the colors that I'm going to be putting into the sunlit area. I'm looking for a deep, warm red. Here's where you want to keep all your colors on the warm side. I'm making my own brown right now, and it's going to be very warm. Okay, I'm using my wipe with alcohol to clean off the palette paper. And I've got my little tray bins all ready for the painting. Now I'm starting here putting a coat of linseed oil and water all over the sky area. This is a large 36 by 36 cotton canvas. I did sand it and I primed it. However, it is still hard to paint on. I have to really push that paint and use a lot of energy. I'm starting with my layers right now of my blue-gray color. I did put in some of the orange mix. Where the area is going to be what I think right now is my focal point, the sunshine area. I do get a surprise towards the end of the painting in which I change my mind about the focal point, and I'll discuss that at a later time here. So I'm applying layer after layer. Of course, my paint is mixed in with a little of the linseed oil. It's helping those layers, each one, to dry. So by the time I do one area and I complete it, the whole sky, I can go back and start all over again. I do like putting a darker color on the outside of the canvas all around. It helps to bring your eye inward when you look at the painting. It's really nice for an undercoat. How nice it is. I heard Juliet in the background barking. You can't see her, but she is around. Can you tell how the paint is starting to go on a lot easier? It's covering the canvas more evenly also. Putting in the dark blue, which will wind up being the open area of the clouds where you could see the sky. And I'm blocking in my shapes right now on what I want to do with the clouds. As I'm doing this, I know I'm thinking about the shapes of the clouds. These are going to be the cumulus clouds, which are really like great big cotton balls. I'm using a technique in which I've got my paint very liquidy with my mix. When I say the mix, that's what I mean, the water and the linseed oil. I like to get it real wet, especially the whole entire brush, and push my paint as I go along area by area. This also helps me define some of the shadows I'm going to have later in the painting. I'm using my medium gray mix right now. And if you look closely, you'll see that I did add some of the turquoise blue in the sky area. Now I'm going into the clouds, the outline of the clouds. With a little lighter of the gray. I probably added some titanium white in with that medium gray to lighten it. But I'll be going back and forth with the different shades of the grays. This is how you'll get the depth that you need to look realistic for clouds. I do periodically look at Jenny's photo image of these clouds. I never paint identical to what I see. I always bring in my own version. This painting is on high speed right now. I bumped it up to 900, which is pretty fast. And it's still probably very tedious to watch. You're watching layer after layer. But I did want to show you, I didn't want to cut off all those layers from the video because I wanted to show you what it takes to make an oil painting rich in color. And it is the layers. If you glob on the paint all at one time, to be honest, it turns very muddy looking. You have no control over your paint, your colors. So the best technique is to do the layers if you are brushing. And right now I'm using my dry brush technique to go over the area to smooth out any of the hard lines that I may have. I'm putting my white mixture that is still a very, very pale gray, light gray going in. I know that the sun will be behind the clouds, so therefore I have to imagine how that sunlight is shining on the clouds that are surrounding the entire area. And that's where I have to bring some of the yellows up into those areas to show the rays. I'm starting to define now my clouds, the shapes of the clouds and the shadows. I'm starting to go into the fun area now of the clouds, where I'm putting in my titanium white straight. The layers are still somewhat damp, so when I'm putting the white on, that's actually blending in with the layers. But I'm starting now to emphasize the sunlight hitting the tips of the clouds. The different brushes I have in my right hand, believe it or not, I've got different colors on those brushes, and periodically I'll grab one like that yellow and start putting more of that color in. So I'm back and forth with my layers again with various colors. It's called multitasking. Well, I'm going to sit back, watch me paint, and listen to the music now. It's just one layer after another, pretty self-explanatory. But you could see how the clouds will take their shape. And form their beauty. Okay, I started putting in the ocean. I used my light turquoise mix and making sure I use a lot of the water and linseed oil to wet down that canvas. And I'm starting to block in some of the dark shades of the ocean. I'll be picking out my waves out of this pretty soon. I started painting the foreground, which is the sand. Now this whole area is going to be covered with water, but I do need a dark undercoat. I decided that I wanted to put some rocks in this area too, so you'll be seeing some brown paint being blocked in. I'm painting a mixture of titanium white, sap green, and some turquoise in the foreground of that ocean bed. That will be toned down quite a bit later in the painting. My cloud area is drying, so I'm able to put a few more coats of my mixture into the clouds. I'm still working on them to bring them out. And if you notice, I'm working a little bit on the horizon area between the sky and the ocean. And I do like, when those two meet, I do like to have similar values. I know that when you're looking at a photograph, the ocean horizon will be dark versus the sky, but I like to show the atmosphere, and I just like them to kind of melt into one another. It's less dramatic that way. I'm starting to tone down that green. I'm putting a little bit more of the turquoise blues in there. The reason that I wanted it more or less a green look to begin with, which of course was the undercoat, so a little bit of that will show up, but it's the sunlight shining down on the ocean, and the foreground of that water is going to be lighter and greener looking because of the brightness of the sunlight. placing the rocks now. These rocks will be mainly hidden in the sand, and just the tops of them will show. And I'll have it where the wave, the water, is swirling around the rocks. I'm starting to paint in where I want the placement of the waves to be. I'm starting with my dark shadows first. I will be changing the wave on the lower right later in the painting. I will be bringing that whole area down to the first rock on the right side. I didn't do my proper placement when I was doing this. And basically I just changed my mind. I'm putting shadows under the rocks. I'm using my dark lavenders for that. Okay, I'm adding in some of the Peruvian blue mix that I have under the rocks. You have to keep in mind this whole area eventually will be covered by water, so I need to get my blues in there. I'm going to concentrate on putting in a lot of dark highlights in this area for the waves. This is like a high tide rushing in, and it's very foamy. To start working my way up to the horizon, putting the shadows under the waves, making them stand out, and expressing that this is an active ocean. here is where I'm making a big correction. I already put in a dark base coat, and now I'm going over with some waves on the lower right hand side where I'm painting right now. I'm bringing that rushing wave all the way across up to that top rock, and it will be swirling around. There's a segment of the video that's not showing, and that's where I painted with a wash, titanium white, the linseed oil, and some water, and a little bit of yellow, and I painted it on top of the sand. And it has a translucent look where you could see the dark sand underneath. I then topped it off with the swirls of foam going throughout the whole area of the rocks, and put some splashes in there. It's obvious to the eye that looking at the painting when completely finished, that the focal point could definitely be the sun area. But I did leave that area light. I did not make it a real brilliant sun. It's very pastel, and it does shine down on the ocean all the way to the beach. It's almost a V shape, that sheen of yellow coming down. But looking at it, what struck me more than anything was the clouds. And I named my painting for that reason. I named it the Wall of Energy, because that's exactly what it looks like, a wall of energy on top of the ocean coming forward with a lot of force. If you enjoyed the video, please like it, subscribe if you want to see the next one, and thank you for spending your time with me. My next painting will be an abstract, and here's a few for a preview of ones that I have already done.